The stars twinkled peacefully in the night sky above NASA's main control center. No one expected that this quiet evening would change humanity's place in the universe forever. At 3:47 a.m. Eastern Time, every radio telescope on Earth picked up the same signal. The message was clear, in perfect English, and terrifying. Your primitive species has been discovered. Prepare for integration into the Zaxian Empire. Resistance will result in extinction. Inside the U.S. deterrent, Earth's most advanced battleship floating silently in orbit. Captain Robert Mills read the message for the 5th time. His weathered face showed no fear, only deep concentration. The ship's bright control room buzzed with quiet activity as his crew worked at their stations. "They think we're primitive," said Commander Lisa Hayes, walking up to his chair. Her short gray hair and stern expression matched her no-nonsense attitude. "That might be our only advantage, sir." Mills nodded slowly. "Get me a direct line to the Joint Chiefs." Everyone else. Battle stations. The crew moved with practiced efficiency. They had trained for many scenarios, but first contact with hostile aliens hadn't been high on their list. Still, years of drills paid off as everyone took their positions. On the main screen, a new image appeared. The alien ships were massive, each one looking like a cross between a manta ray and a throwing star, their dark metal hulls reflecting the sun's light. Long-range scans showed they were bigger than anything humans had ever built, some measuring over 5 miles across. "Sir," Chief Engineer David Cooper called out from his station, his voice steady despite the tension. "I'm reading energy signatures off the charts. Their smallest ship has enough power to level a continent." Captain Mills stood up, his tall frame casting a shadow across the bridge. "And they have no idea what we're capable of. That's going to be their first mistake." The next few hours were a blur of activity. While the aliens approached, Earth's government scrambled to respond. The UN Security Council met in emergency session. Military forces worldwide went to high alert. And in orbit, the U.S. deterrent watched and waited. The alien fleet emerged from hyperspace just beyond Mars' orbit, 200 ships strong. Their formation was perfect, a display of absolute confidence in their superiority. Message from Earth Defense Command. Communication Officer Emily Ross announced, her fingers flying over her console. "All nations have agreed. We speak with one voice now. They're giving you full authority to represent Earth, Captain." Mills took a deep breath. "Open a channel." The main screen flickered to life, showing their first view of the Zaxian. The alien commander looked almost reptilian, with iridescent scales and multiple eyes arranged in a circle around its head. When it spoke, its voice was deep and resonated with authority. "Your species has 20 Earth hours to surrender control of your planet. We offer you the privilege of serving the Zaxian Empire. Your technology is primitive, your defenses inadequate. Resist, and we will reduce your cities to ash." Captain Mills stood straighter, his voice calm and measured. "This is Captain Robert Mills of the United Earth Ship Deterrent. We decline your generous offer. Earth is our home. We will defend it." The alien commander's eyes pulsed with what might have been amusement. "You have one ship. We have 200. Your bravery is admirable but foolish." "Numbers aren't everything," Mills replied. "You might want to count again after what happens next." Before the alien could respond, a bright flash lit up the space near Mars. The Zaxians had destroyed the small research station there, killing 12 scientists instantly. "A small demonstration," the Zaxian commander said. "Your 20 hours begin now. Use them wisely." As the transmission ended, the bridge was silent. Commander Hayes stepped forward. "Orders, sir." Mills turned to his crew, his eyes hard with determination. "They think they're hunting us. Time to show them their first mistake. Cooper, power up the KD drive. Martinez, arm all special weapons. Parker, begin plotting their shield vulnerabilities." He sat back in his command chair, his voice carrying to every corner of the bridge. "They want to see what humanity is capable of. Let's give them a demonstration they'll never forget." The U.S. deterrence engines hummed to life, and humanity prepared for its first interstellar war. The next 20 hours would determine the fate of Earth, but not in the way the Zaxians expected. The destruction of the Mars Research Station left a heavy silence over the U.S. deterrence bridge. 12 good people had died, and the clock was ticking. 19 hours remained until the Zaxians' deadline. Chief Engineer David Cooper paced in the ship's main engine room, his boots clicking against the metal floor. The room hummed with power from machines that weren't supposed to exist. He checked his tablet one more time before calling the bridge. "Captain Mills, it's time they learned what they're really dealing with," Cooper said, his voice firm. "The quantum displacement drive is ready." On the bridge, Captain Mills nodded to Commander Hayes. "Show me." The main screen lit up with diagrams and numbers that would have confused most scientists on Earth. Cooper had helped design this technology, kept secret from the public, and more importantly, from alien observers. "The KD drive doesn't just move the ship," Cooper explained, pointing to the screen. "It bends space itself. We can be in multiple places at once, or nowhere at all. The Zaxians won't know what hit them." Amy Chen, the ship's AI specialist, spoke up from her station. "Sir, I've run 1,000 battle simulations. Even with their superior numbers, we have a 78% chance of success if we use the QD drive correctly." Mills studied the data. The Zaxians had killed 12 people to make a point. Now it was time to make one of their own. "Target their smallest ship," he ordered. "Let's show them what primitive looks like." Weapons Officer Steve Martinez's fingers flew over his console. The U.S. Deterrence Special Weapons System came online. Another secret that would shock their enemies. The ship carried guns that could tear holes in space itself. "Target locked," Martins reported. "Ready on your order." Mills stood up. "Send a message to the Zaxian fleet. Tell them to watch carefully." The U.S. deterrent moved into position. The Zaxian fleet didn't even react. They probably thought the human ship was too primitive to be a threat. They were about to learn how wrong they were. "Fire," Mills commanded. A beam of pure white light shot from the deterrent. It looked almost beautiful, like a shooting star in reverse. The beam hit the Zaxian ship's shields they had bragged were unbreakable. The shields broke. The beam cut through the alien ship like it was made of paper. The massive vessel, bigger than anything humans had built, split in half. There was no explosion, no fire in space. The ship simply fell apart, its pieces drifting silently in the void. "Send another message," Mills ordered. "Tell them they have 1 hour to leave our solar system. After that, we start firing again." The Zaxian response was immediate and fierce. 20 ships broke formation, charging toward the deterrent with weapons ready. "Now, Cooper," Mills called. "Show them the drive." Cooper pressed a sequence of buttons in the engine room. The U.S. deterrent's special engine powered up, making the whole ship vibrate slightly. In space, something impossible happened. The deterrent seemed to blur, like a picture out of focus. Suddenly, there were 5 deterrents, then 10, then none at all. The Zaxian ships fired their weapons, but hit nothing but empty space. The deterrent reappeared behind the attacking ships. Another white beam fired, cutting through 2 more alien vessels before they could even turn around. "Message from the Zaxian commander," Emily Ross announced, trying to hide her smile. They're asking for time to discuss our terms." The bridge crew tried to stay professional, but a few grins broke through. They had just proved that one Earth ship could stand against 200 alien vessels. Captain Mills allowed himself a small smile. "Tell them they have 55 minutes left, and remind them that was just our warning shot." The remaining Zaxian ships pulled back, their perfect formation now broken. In the engine room, Cooper patted the KD drive's housing proudly. The aliens had thought humans were primitive because they hadn't seen many Earth ships in space. They didn't know that humans had put all their best technology into this one vessel. Commander Hayes walked up to Mills' chair. "Think they'll leave?" "They'd better," Mills replied, watching the alien fleet. "Because I wasn't kidding about the warning shot. They haven't seen anything yet." The U.S. deterrent hung in space, no longer hiding its power. In less than an hour, they had changed the galaxy's balance of power. And if the Zaxians didn't leave, they would learn even more about humanity's primitive technology, the hard way. The Zaxian fleet hadn't left. Instead, more ships had arrived through hyperspace, bringing their total to nearly 300 vessels. They spread out across Earth's orbit like a web of metal and energy, their weapons pointed at the planet below. "They're calling our bluff," Lieutenant John Parker said, studying his tactical screen. The young officer's eyes hadn't left the display for hours. "They think we got lucky with those first shots." Captain Mills watched the alien fleet from the bridge of the U.S. deterrent. They had moved to the dark side of the moon, hidden from the Zaxians' view. First Officer Karen Wright stood beside him, working on a plan. "Their shields all have the same weak spot," Wright explained, pointing to a diagram. "Right where their power systems connect to their main engines. Hit that spot, and the whole ship goes dark." "But we have to get close to hit it," Parker added. "Really close. Like they can see us through their windows close." Mills nodded slowly. "Then they won't see us coming." "Cooper, is the stealth system ready?" Down in engineering, Chief Engineer Cooper checked his readings one last time. "Ready, Captain. They won't see us, hear us, or even know we exist until it's too late." The stealth system was another of Earth's secrets. While other species focused on building bigger ships and stronger shields, humans had worked on ways to hide. The U.S. deterrent could bend light around itself, absorb radar, and even hide its heat signature. In space, that made it a ghost. "All hands, battle stations," Mills ordered. "Wright, Parker, show me your attack plan." The main screen lit up with a 3D map. Wright had plotted a course that would take them through the heart of the Zaxian fleet. They would hit 20 ships before the aliens knew what was happening. "What about the civilian populations?" Commander Hayes asked, pointing to Earth below. "If we fail, they'll attack the planet." "They won't have time," Mills answered. "Amy, show them the AI prediction." Amy Chen's fingers danced across her console. A new simulation appeared, showing how the Zaxian fleet would fall apart once their command structure was broken. "They're not used to losing," Chen explained. "Their battle computers can't adapt fast enough. Once we take out their leaders, the rest will run." Mills stood up, facing his crew. "This is what we trained for. This is why Earth built this ship. Time to show the galaxy that humanity isn't primitive. We're just patient." The U.S. deterrent's engines came alive, but made no sound in the vacuum of space. The massive ship lifted off from its lunar hiding spot, completely invisible to every sensor in the Zaxian fleet. "Weapons hot," Steve Martinez reported from his station. "Special targeting systems locked on their weak spots." They glided through space like a shark through dark water. The deterrent passed so close to one Zaxian ship that they could see aliens moving inside their bridge. But none of them looked out their windows. Why would they? They thought they were alone. "First target acquired," Parker whispered, even though the aliens couldn't hear him. "Their flagship is in range." Mills took a deep breath. "Fire." The white beam lashed out again, but this time it was different. Instead of cutting the ship in half, it hit exactly where Wright had shown, the connection point between power and engines. The massive Zaxian flagship went dark instantly, drifting helplessly in space. Before anyone could react, the deterrent fired again and again. 5 ships lost power in less than 10 seconds. "They're panicking," Emily Ross reported from communications. "Their commanders are screaming for explanations. They can't find us on any sensors." The Zaxian fleet burst into action, ships moving in all directions. But they were firing blindly, their weapons hitting nothing but empty space, and sometimes their own ships. 10 more targets, Wright called out. Moving to position. The deterrent danced through the chaos like a ghost, striking again and again. Each shot was perfect. Each target went dark. The mighty Zaxian fleet, terror of 1,000 worlds, was being taken apart by an enemy they couldn't even see. Message from Earth, Ross announced. They're asking if we need help. Mills almost laughed. Tell them to watch the show. The Silent Hunter is just getting started. In space above Earth, the mightiest fleet in the galaxy was learning a hard lesson. Sometimes the most dangerous predator was the one you never saw coming. Chaos ruled in space. 30 Zaxian ships floated powerless, their crews trapped inside dark, cold vessels. The rest of the fleet fired wildly, hoping to hit an enemy they couldn't see. Their perfect formation had turned into a mess of panicked ships trying to avoid their invisible attacker. Time to show ourselves, Captain Mills announced. Cooper dropped the stealth field. The U.S. deterrent appeared in the middle of the Zaxian fleet like a ghost becoming solid. The human ship looked tiny compared to the alien vessels, but it now carried something the Zaxians had lost. Confidence. Send a message to all their ships, Mills ordered. Tell them exactly what we are. Emily Ross smiled as she typed. Her message went out in all frequencies. This is the U.S. deterrent, humanity's first and only space battleship. Your shields cannot stop us. Your weapons cannot hurt us. Leave our solar system now, or we will disable every ship in your fleet. The Zaxian response came quickly. 50 ships turned and fired everything they had at the deterrent. Their energy weapons lit up space like 1,000 lightning bolts. Shields holding. Weapons Officer Steve Martinez reported calmly. They didn't even make our paint warm. Mills nodded. Show them our new tricks. Martins pressed a sequence of buttons. The deterrent's special weapons came alive, but this time they were different. Instead of the white cutting beam, rings of blue energy spread out from the ship. What the hell is that? A Zaxian commander's voice came through their speakers. It was the first time they had heard fear in an alien voice. The blue rings passed through the Zaxian ships. At first, nothing seemed to happen. Then, one by one, their mighty shields flickered and died. Shield breaker technology, Cooper explained from engineering, turns their own shield energy against them. Another human invention they thought was impossible. With their shields down, the Zaxian ships were defenseless. The deterrent's regular weapons could now tear through their hulls like paper. But Mills had a different plan. Target their engines, he ordered. Let's give them a chance to run. The deterrent moved like a dancer through the fleet. Each shot hit perfectly, disabling engines, but leaving the ships intact. Lieutenant Parker's targeting computer hadn't missed once. Sir, Commander Hayes called out. A group of their ships is making a run for Earth. They might try to attack the planet. Not today, Mills said. Cooper, show them the key D drive again. The deterrent seemed to blur, and suddenly there were 3 copies of the ship, each one real and solid. The Zaxians had never seen anything like it. Their sensors showed 3 human battleships where there should have been only 1. All 3 deterrents fired at once. Blue rings stripped away shields, and precise shots disabled engines. The ships trying to attack Earth drifted to a stop, powerless like the others. Incoming transmission, Ross announced. It's their high commander. The main screen showed the Zaxian leader. Its scaled face showed an emotion no human had ever seen on an alien before. Respect. How? The high commander asked simply. How did such a primitive species create weapons that break every law of physics we know? Mills stood tall. We're not primitive. We're just different. While you built bigger ships, we built smarter ones. While you made stronger shields, we found ways to break them. That's humanity's real power. We never stop thinking, never stop inventing. A high commander was quiet for a moment. And if we continue to fight, then we'll continue to win, Mills replied. We have more surprises. Would you like to see them? Another group of Zaxian ships tried to run. The deterrent's copies chased them down, disabled them, and left them floating. Now nearly half the mighty fleet was powerless in space. Your choice, Mills continued. Leave now, tell your empire what happened here, or stay and lose everything. The remaining Zaxian ships started powering up their hyperdrives. The High Commander looked at Mills one last time. We will return, the alien said. Mills smiled. We'll be ready. And next time, we'll have built even better surprises. The Zaxian fleet retreated, leaving their powerless ships behind. Earth had won its first space battle, but everyone on the deterrent knew this was just the beginning. Send ships to rescue their crews, Mills ordered. Show them that humans can be merciful too. As rescue operations began, the U.S. deterrent stood guard over Earth. They had broken the unbreakable, defeated the undefeatable. And they had done it with one ship, human ingenuity, and the element of surprise. Earth celebrated its victory, but aboard the U.S. deterrent, the mood was serious. Captain Mills watched the last Zaxian ships disappear into hyperspace, leaving their damaged fleet behind. They'll be back, Commander Hayes said, standing next to him. And next time, they'll bring their whole empire. Mills nodded. That's why we're not giving them time to prepare. Cooper, is the hyperdrive ready? In engineering, Chief Engineer Cooper smiled as he worked on his controls. Better than ready, Captain. Our drive is faster than anything they've ever seen. We can catch them before they reach home. The plan was bold, maybe crazy. No one had ever chased an alien fleet through hyperspace before. But the U.S. deterrent wasn't just any ship. Emily, are you getting their transmissions? Mills asked. Communication Officer Emily Ross listened through her headset. Her face lit up with excitement. Yes, sir. They're panicking. They keep saying impossible and demons in their language. They think we're some kind of space monsters. The bridge crew laughed. Being called space monsters by the aliens who had threatened to destroy Earth felt good. Time to chase our monsters, Mills announced. All hands, prepare for hyperspace jump. Let's show them what human technology can really do. The deterrent's special hyperdrive powered up. Unlike the Zaxian ships, which needed to build up speed, the human ship simply opened a hole in space itself. The stars stretched into lines of light, and they were off. Multiple contacts ahead. Lieutenant Parker reported from his tactical station. The Zaxian fleet is spread out. They're not used to running away. Mills smiled. They're about to get more practice. Target the ships at the back of their formation. The deterrent burst out of hyperspace right behind the slowest Zaxian ships. Before they could react, the human vessel fired its blue shield breaker rings. More alien ships lost power, left floating in the space between stars. Message from the Zaxian commander, Ross called out. They're asking. They're begging us to stop following them. Send them my reply, Mills ordered. Surrender now, or the chase continues. The Zaxians answered by jumping to hyperspace again. But this time, they split up, going in different directions. They think they can confuse us. First Officer Wright said, studying the tactical display. They don't know about our tracking system. Amy Chen's AI systems could follow hyperspace trails better than any alien technology. On her screen, glowing lines showed exactly where each Zaxian ship was going. The largest group is heading straight for the Zaxian home system, Chen reported. They think their home fleet will protect them. Mills leaned forward in his chair. That's exactly where we want them to go. All power to the hyperdrive. Let's beat them there. The deterrent jumped again, its human technology pushing the limits of what aliens thought possible. They weren't just following the Zaxians now. They were getting ahead of them. Sir, Ross said suddenly, I'm picking up transmissions from all over the galaxy. Other alien species are watching what we're doing. They've never seen anyone chase ships through hyperspace before. The crew realized what this meant. It wasn't just about scaring the Zaxians anymore. They were showing the whole galaxy what humans could do. Message going out across all frequencies, Ross continued. The Zaxian Empire is warning everyone about us. They're calling Earth a Class 1 death world, and humans a species of extreme caution. More laughter filled the bridge. Earth had gone from primitive species to extremely dangerous in less than a day. New contact, Parker shouted. Massive hyperspace signature ahead. It's the Zaxian home fleet. On the main screen, hundreds of alien ships appeared. The Zaxian Empire had called in everything they had. Their ships filled space like a metal wall between the deterrent and their homeworld. They think numbers will save them, Mills said calmly. Cooper, is the key D drive still working? Ready to make as many copies as you need, Captain, Cooper replied from engineering. Mills stood up, looking at the massive fleet ahead of them. Send them a message, Emily. Tell them, this is your last chance to talk about peace. After this, we stop being nice. The U.S. deterrent faced the entire might of the Zaxian Empire, but everyone on board knew something the aliens didn't. This was exactly what they had planned for. The real demonstration of human power was about to begin. The space around the Zaxian homeworld was filled with warships. Thousands of them, not hundreds, formed a wall of metal and energy between the U.S. deterrent and the alien planet. Their capital city could be seen from orbit, its towers reaching into the clouds. They've called in everything they have, Lieutenant Parker said, counting the ships on his screen. 5,000 vessels, at least. Captain Mills stood calmly on his bridge. Behind him, Mark Wilson, the ship's diplomatic officer, prepared for the most important conversation of his life. Remember, Wilson said, they respect power above all else. We need to show strength, but also wisdom. Mills nodded. Emily, open a channel to their entire fleet. Let everyone hear this. Communication Officer Ross worked her controls. Channel open, sir. They're all listening. This is Captain Robert Mills of the U.S. deterrent, he began. You came to Earth thinking we were primitive. You threatened our world. You killed our people. Now you see us at your doorstep, and you finally understand your mistake. The main screen showed the Zaxian High Command, a group of the most powerful aliens in their empire. They looked nervous, their scaled faces showing fear they couldn't hide. We have enough ships to darken the sky, one Zaxian leader said. You have only one vessel. Mills smiled. Cooper, show them why that doesn't matter. Chief Engineer Cooper activated the quantum displacement drive. The U.S. deterrent split into 10 perfect copies, then 20, then 50. Each one was real, solid, and combat-ready. By the Great Void, a Zaxian whispered. How is this possible? The same way this is possible, Mills replied. He turned to Martinez. Target their orbital defense stations, all of them. Weapons Officer Martinez pressed a single button. 50 beams of white light shot out from the 50 deterrents. In seconds, every defensive station around the Zaxian homeworld went dark. Panic spread through the alien fleet. Some ships tried to run, others turned to fire. But they had learned nothing from their earlier defeat. Now, Mills ordered, show them what happens if they choose war. All 50 deterrents fired their shield breaker rings at once. The blue energy waves spread across space like ripples in a pond. Every ship in the Zaxian fleet lost power. 5,000 ships, the pride of their empire, turned into helpless metal boxes floating in space. Impossible, the Zaxian leader shouted. Our technology is superior. We have ruled space for 10,000 years. Mark Wilson stepped forward. That was your first mistake. You stopped improving. You thought you were the best, so you stopped trying to be better. Humans never stop learning, never stop growing. The Zaxian capital city below was in chaos. Their mighty fleet hung powerless above them, and 50 Earth battleships had their weapons pointed at the planet. Here are our terms, Wilson continued. First, you will sign a peace treaty with Earth. Second, you will pay for the lives you took at our research station. Third, you will tell every species in the galaxy that Earth is not to be threatened. "And if we refuse?" a Zaxian asked. Mills answered this time. "Then we leave your ships powerless, your defenses broken, and your world defenseless. How long do you think your empire will last when everyone sees how easily you were defeated?" The Zaxian leaders whispered among themselves. Their empire was built on looking strong. Now everyone could see them looking weak. "We accept your terms," the High Commander said finally. Wilson smiled. "Good choice. We'll restore power to your ships after the treaty is signed. And remember, we'll be watching." As Wilson prepared for the peace talks, Mills looked at his crew. They had done the impossible. One ship had defeated an empire, not through destruction, but through showing overwhelming power and the wisdom to use it carefully. "Message from Earth, sir," Ross reported. "They're asking if we need any help." The bridge crew laughed. They had just defeated the most powerful empire in known space. Earth was probably safer now than it had ever been. "Tell them everything's under control," Mills said. "And tell them to prepare for some changes. The galaxy just got a lot more interesting." Below them, the Zaxian capital prepared for the first peace treaty they had ever signed where they were not the stronger power. The age of their empire was ending. The age of humanity was just beginning. 3 months after the Zaxian surrender, the U.S. deterrent flew through Earth's solar system on its way home. The ship looked the same, but the galaxy around it had changed forever. Captain Mills sat in his command chair, reading reports from across space. Every day brought news of another alien species wanting to talk to Earth. The peaceful ones wanted trade deals. The warlike ones just wanted to be left alone. Another message from the Centauri Alliance, Emily Ross announced from her communication station. "They're offering to share their medical technology in exchange for our engine designs." Mills smiled. "Tell them what we tell everyone. We're happy to trade, but military technology stays secret." Commander Hayes walked onto the bridge, holding a tablet. "The Zaxians kept their word," she said. "They've paid full compensation for the Mars station families, and they're telling everyone about Earth's strength. They're doing more than that," Ross added. "Listen to this broadcast I just picked up." She played a message that was being sent across the galaxy, warning to all species. Earth is not to be approached with hostile intent. Their technology exceeds known physics. Their single warship defeated our entire fleet. They are to be treated with utmost respect and caution. The bridge crew smiled. It was hard to believe that just 3 months ago, the Zaxians had called humans primitive. "Ship status?" Mills asked. Chief Engineer Cooper's voice came through the speakers. "Better than ever, Captain." The Zaxian engineers couldn't believe how our KD drive works. Their faces were priceless when we showed them just a small part of it. The deterrent had become famous across the galaxy. Alien ships would change course just to avoid getting too close to it. No one wanted to risk making the humans angry. "Message from Earth Defense Command," Ross said. "They're asking about the new ships." That was the biggest change. Earth was building more ships like the deterrent, but different. Some for science, some for exploration, and yes, some for defense. But they would never need a huge fleet. One ship had been enough to change everything. "Sir," Lieutenant Parker called from Tactical, "we're picking up something strange." 3 Zaxian ships just appeared at the edge of the system. The bridge went quiet. Everyone remembered how their journey started, with hostile Zaxian ships entering their space. "They're broadcasting on all frequencies," Ross reported. It's a welcome message. They're here as diplomatic escorts." The Zaxian ships were small and obviously unarmed. They had come to honor Earth's greatest ship as it returned home. "Their commander is asking permission to speak," Ross added. Mills nodded. "Put them on screen." The Zaxian commander appeared, wearing ceremonial robes instead of battle armor. "Great warriors of Earth," the alien said, "we come to show our respect. Your ship changed our understanding of the universe. We would be honored to escort you home." Mills looked at his crew. Each face showed pride, but also wisdom. They had won more than a battle. They had won peace. Escort granted, Mills replied. Join us for the final leg home. As they approached Earth, more ships appeared. Science vessels from the Centauri, trading ships from the Rigel system, and diplomatic boats from a dozen worlds. They all came to see the ship that had changed everything. Look at that, Commander Hayes said softly. Earth filled their view screen, beautiful and blue. But now it wasn't just their home. It was the center of a new age in space, a world that had earned universal respect, not through conquest, but through defending itself with power and wisdom. Message from Earth, Ross said one last time. They're asking what we should call this new era. Mills thought for a moment, then smiled. Tell them to call it what it is, humanity's dawn. The U.S. deterrent flew home through the honor guard of alien ships, its mission complete. They had saved Earth, changed the galaxy, and shown everyone that being advanced didn't mean having the biggest fleet or the most weapons. It meant being smart, being innovative, and knowing when to show mercy. As they entered orbit, Mills looked at his crew one last time. Not bad for a primitive species, he said. The bridge erupted in laughter. On Earth below, people looked up at the night sky with new confidence. The stars weren't something to fear anymore. They were humanity's new frontier, and everyone in the galaxy knew that humans were ready for whatever came next. The age of fear was over. The age of exploration and peace had begun. And it all started with one ship, and the day humanity showed the galaxy just how wrong it was about Earth.